talking about sex here on Kababayan today and about how our culture doesn't talk about it. We're talking about it here, okay? So, let's get to it. Ang pagtatalik ba, dapat ini-enjoy? Kasi alam ko, I never had that conversation with anybody. In my family, there was nobody when I was growing up that sat me down and said, alam mo, dapat ganito yan. Diba? So, let's talk about it. Anybody? Anybody?
Of course we should talk about it. That's basic. You know, it's like the first time you meet a guy, baka nagulatan na kayong dalawa. You know, ganito pala yun. Hindi. It's supposed to be romantic, hindi nakakatakot, hindi masakit, hindi... It's enjoyable. It's being one. And I think it's part of our procreation.
But we're not encouraged to look at sex in that way.
Because we are, again, going back to cultural hypocrisy. Hindi na naman maganda yung sinabi ko. Pero totoo, we judge each other. Naku, tignan mo siya. Ano nga lang ito? As you said, slut. But you know, you even have to appreciate your body. Like it. I don't care kay mataba ka, payat ka, kay ano. Appreciate it. And when you like yourself, then your sexual experience would be much better. Of course, it's a must pag maganda ka, di ba? Alam mo naman pag maganda ka eh. You will enjoy it. And then you are perceived as the man, the other guy as... So that's where. And then pag mga nanay naman natin, ang mga anak natin, ayaw nating maging maganda. Ayaw nating gustong maging maganda, but not to be a sex object. We are so uncomfortable because of religion, because of our culture. Marami tayong dapat baguhin eh. Kaya lang, again, we don't talk about it. We are afraid to be judged.
Yes.
We are not courageous in that way. Takot na takot tayo. Kahit naman anong sabihin nila, it doesn't change the reality of our life.
Yes, pero yun na nga eh, ano kayang sasabihin
Yes.
ng mga magulang mo? Ano kayang sasabihin ng tita? At ano na lang iisipin ng mga kamag-anak natin, di ba? It always boils down to what people will think about you.
Nako, oo.
Right, Carol?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we don't talk about it with the people that we think are going to judge us. But I have this group of really, really close friends, and we get together every time we can. One is in Japan, one's in New Zealand, so it's whenever they can make it to LA. And the last time we talked, we sort of talked about sex. I think after a few glasses of wine, you start loosening up. Okay, let's fill in the blanks. If I had a dime for every man that I slept with, I would have exactly how much.
So pinag-uusapan kung ilan na.
So it ranged from 30 cents to $3. And that's how we started the conversation.
Yes, because it is a little bit uncomfortable, right? Even more so when you're on TV. Right.
Our parents are watching.
Oo, di ba?
So that question.
So let's talk about casual sex. We're not even encouraged to have sex at all. So what about casual sex? How do you feel about that? Kat?
I think it all depends on the person. I'm not the type to do like one-night stands or casual sex, but it all depends on who it is. I think part of it is because of how I was raised too, though. The whole fear factor, the guilt.
Alison, what about you? How do you feel about casual sex?
I will say, I will also articulate that I think because I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s when the AIDS epidemic kind of hit its crest, I think like I grew up in a generation and among a peer group where I feel like casual sex is okay, but I think everybody has to understand. I always felt like with partners, it's always like, well, we have to be clear about pregnancy and disease, be clear about safety, and I think even in thinking about same-sex encounters, I think what people don't know is like there are lots of ways for two women to have safe sex, and there are important reasons why you should do that. So I think like there's a lot of conversations about what you want to do, and just again having that conversation and knowing yourself and keeping your own power in mind.
But who taught you? Who talked to you about it?
I would say it was a lot of mutual friends talking to each other. I also think growing up, I had a couple of different friends who were survivors of rape from boyfriends, and so I think there became this kind of conversation about what is safe. How is casual safe? And if it is, that's great. But how do you? What happens if it goes away from safety? And so how do you keep being safe? And how do you talk to people who you love and care about who won't judge you for being a slut? So if and I feel like I've been in a lot of conversations where, like, if a woman is sex positive, if a woman has multiple partners, she's labeled a slut.
Wait, what does sex positive mean?
Sex positive is a great way to think about, instead of shaming ourselves about our bodies, we could be very positive about our bodies.
Exactly.
Right? So I could be sex positive about my body, right? I could be sex positive about what I like to do and what I want to have done to me or who I want to do whatever to. And I can also be sex positive about, and I can take control of that, and I can make sure that we play with condoms or lube.
Right.
Or all the
and we
things.
talk about it. Okay,
Yes.
sex positive. That's something I learned today.
Yes,
When we return, we're going to be talking about the consequences of sex. All right, when we return here on Kababayan Today.